Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where I'll be talking about growth rates and exercise. As we've said, we have two different age structures here, so they're about 10 days apart. The most noticeable difference between these two pups is the length of legs. Bolts has really gone through a growth spurt here and has put on a lot of joint growth. And one of the things that an early whelping period has kind of caused us a little bit of management issue is that normally by the time this growth spurt would go on, we would be outside. If they were born, the end of April, by the end of May, it's warm temperatures, we'd be outside on a regular basis, and the pups would be getting a lot more physical exercise, running, a lot more muscle development. So right now he's getting a lot of joint growth, but he's not getting a lot of exercise. And the small kennel is used here because it's cold at night. We had 30-degree temperatures here just a few nights ago, and the daytime temperatures have not been all that much warmer, so that's caused us to keep them indoors, where normally by the time they get this kind of long, lanky growth rate, they'd be out exercising. So what we're seeing, and you might pick this up on the Ustream, is a little bit of joint discomfort. That's pretty common for such a fast growth rate. And again, we want to in the upcoming weeks maximize exercise to start building some of that muscle mass around those joints. And so we do see activity. It's not that they aren't active. And you're seeing here a little jaw sparring, pinning, wrestling session, and which is common every time they're awake. And you will see in the forefront a bowl of meat. We are still feeding them kind of a combination of chicken, venison, ground beef, and that's fed pretty much on an hourly basis. You'll see wolf care staff hand feeding on a regular basis. We don't leave it out very much for them because we want to keep it refrigerated. But every once in a while, when they're active, you want to keep that food near them. The other thing that we are doing is stimulating them mentally, and that means a lot of toys as well as their teething. So logs are a good thing for them to teeth on. So we kind of maximize those opportunities. In the background, you see a little bit of a bit of the kennel or a crate. We are preparing for next weekend's trip to the Twin Cities for some special events and public programming, and we actually have a volunteer who's agreed to fly us down to the cities to minimize the transport time. So we should have a short, hour flight down, be able to do those programs in the Twin Cities venue, and then be back. And what we do is we let the kennel in the enclosure so that the pups get used to that kennel before the transport. And Oscar is obviously still an important part, and this is Peanut. It's getting a little bit more curious and trying to grab Oscar's hair there. Bolt's again going to come over and do a chin rest on top of Peanut and actually blocks her from Oscar. The other thing that we constantly have available is a fresh water source. And as I said, that interaction between Oscar and the pups has been really, really a good thing for the pups, and especially since Bolt's is a little bit older and going through some of that fear avoidance behavior that's typical of a pup. Oscar's really been helpful in trying to help him through that. So we do let Oscar in once in a while. You'll see that in Ustream, but a lot of times Oscar's just laying outside the fence and they have fence-to-fence interaction. Now, one other thing about Oscar is that, as we've said in previous YouTubes, he's a dog, so when the wolves howl, he barks. And barking is a threat display, so you can see the response on the pups here. Ears prick forward, they're listening to Oscar bark, and because inherently barking it means a warning, they're getting a little bit anxious, and you kind of seeing some yawning behavior there. That's not tired, that's a stress yawn, and so they kind of get hurt up or cuddle up a little bit as they deal with that anxiety. So as we said, it's been getting a little bit warmer, and we took them out and had a really good visit. Bolts is definitely keyed into the outdoor world and doing very well. Peanut's got a little bit of anxiety, and you can see her kind of, she's younger. She doesn't quite have the mental capacity that Bolts does, so she's a little bit more anxious. And this is a spot here where Bolts actually had urinated as he ran over towards Aiden and Denali in a squat urination and is just sniffing it out there. But you can see Aiden right on the other side of the fence there. And as he gets up, that causes a little bit of anxiety there. But the overall, the pups are very tractable to the adult wolves. And so we are seeing some good interactions, the ability for them to get out, catch some scent, kind of expand their sensory abilities beyond the lab kennel. And that means investigating things like eating dirt, which is not a bad thing. Dirt has got some good minerals, so we'll kind of keep an eye on the rock chewing. But like I said, they get to catch some scents. They get to be stimulated by more than just that really protected environment of the indoor kennel. And we obviously have they're wolves, so they test fences. And here's Bolt's checking out the fencing, the wiring, and we will see many opportunities for them to test what we've got as far as protective barriers. That's what wolves do. The whole time they're out there, Oscar is out there with them. Oscar's kept on a leash, though, where normally Oscar has free rein in the wolf yard. When the puppies are out, Oscar is going to be on a leash, and the reason for that is, we don't want Oscar to startle them. We know Oscar sometimes gets excited and barks at the fence with the adults, and we don't want any negativity, and we don't want any barking from Oscar when those puppies are out next to the adult wolves. So that's a discipline problem not a problem, but a discipline change for Oscar, who's working mentally harder than he ever has here, trying to maintain all the new people coming in, as well as trying to follow the rules of the wolf yard. That means on a leash without freedom. But it's working out, and you can see here kind of a pack hangout. There's Oscar, there's Bolts, and as we pan up to the fence, Aiden's laying right behind the Bolts, and then Peanut's off to the left there, and Pack's just hanging out on a sunny afternoon. So that's really feels good, and we're actually very happy that Oscar came almost a year in advance to the pups coming. That gave Aiden some chance to get used to Oscar, so he sees no threat display from Oscar whatsoever. We weren't sure about that, if Oscar was going to be, somehow perceived as being invading the puppy space or something like that, but right now, Aiden only sees some humans as invading the puppy space and is threat displaying towards humans, but not to Oscar. So as spring approaches, we start the process of shedding. Wolves don't shed like a dog all year long. They blow their coats once a year, and usually that's about late May or early June. Until they do, they are hot. This is a day where it was maybe 65 degrees, and you can see the panting, and that full winter coat is great for insulating when it's below zero, but it makes them go to cool places when it's not. And here's Denali going into the den. And over in Grizzer's pen, I'll just let you listen to him howl there. Grizzer is stimulated by these pups, no doubt, and that's gotten a little bit more howling response going on around here. In retirement, again, they have the same issue. Even though they have a white coat that doesn't absorb as much heat, they are still hot, and so we're seeing lots of panting behavior. They're actually starting to shed a little bit more than anyone else, and so we're right now not really brushing just yet. We're just hand plucking off any of the tufts of hair that are coming out, but they're dealing with it. Shadow found a nice cool spot in the mineral soil towards the back of the enclosure, and just kind of hanging out there and checking out the scents and trying to keep himself cool. And we do, as we said, we have the pond. The pond's been going for a month now, and as we're treating the algae in it, which is earlier than we've ever done, but for the most part, when they need to cool off, they just go into the water. As summer approaches, we'll actually have sprinkler systems on them to wet down the mineral soil to keep it cooler for them. So very important for older animals. They don't deal with heat nearly as well. Same thing with younger animals, tend to overheat a little bit. So that's one of the management issues that we face as Shadow Malik turned 12 years of age on May 8th. And again, Grizzer was 8 years of age on May 5th. Aiden and Denali were 4 years of age on April 27th. And so the 4-year rotation, again, is how we manage our wolves here. And so we're always having springtime births. This, like I said, these 2012 pups are the earliest that we've ever seen. But for the most part, that's the task at hand. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.